Good morning. I'm Denise Smiler, Chair of the Pennsylvania Gaming Control Board. I would like to ask everyone at this time to please silence your cell phones and all electronic devices. With 6 board members present this morning and Commissioner Sarah Manzano-Diaz participating by telephone, I'd like to call today's meeting to order. Commissioner Manzano-Diaz, can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Good morning, Chairman Smiler.
Excellent. Good morning to you, too. I would also like to note for the record, in addition to the 7 board members, we also have ex officio members present. Well, one is missing, but okay. We still have Adria Zimmerman, representing Pat Brown, Secretary for the Department of Revenue, and Jennifer Langen, representing Stacy Garrity, State Treasurer. Thank you, ex officios, for joining us. As the first order of business, I'd like to ask everyone to please rise and join me in a recitation of the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
By way of announcements, is my mic on? Okay. By way of announcements, it's not on. Doug, thank you. By way of announcements, the board held an executive session yesterday, Tuesday, March 25th, to discuss personal matters and to conduct quasi-judicial deliberations relating to matters coming before the board. I would also like to announce that the board has scheduled 2 public input hearings relative to the license renewal applications for Penn National Morgantown and Parks Casino. Penn National Morgantown's hearing will be held on Wednesday, April 2nd, beginning at 1:30 p.m. at the Cameron Township Building located at 3307 Main Street, Morgantown, Pennsylvania. Parks Casino's hearing will be held on Thursday, April 3rd, beginning at 10:30 a.m. at the Ben Salem Municipal Township Building located at 2400 Byberry Road, Ben Salem, Pennsylvania, 19202. The public is invited to attend both meetings and to provide testimony. Now I will address a part of this job that is never pleasant. Specifically, our next order of business is to recognize the service of Commissioner Dave Hickernell to the board since his term has expired, and this will be his last public meeting. For those of you who don't know, Dave has been with the board for 2 years, having been appointed by Minority Leader Brian Cutler in 2023. Dave's prior public service includes serving 20 years as a state representative from 2002 to 2022, representing the 98th Legislative District in Lancaster and Dauphin counties. During his tenure in the House, Dave served as Majority Chairman of the Tourism and Recreational Development Committee, the Education Committee, and the Professional Licensure Committee. Dave has a long history of other public service as well, having served as the Clerk of Courts for Lancaster County, and prior to being elected to the House of Representatives, he held numerous key staff positions in that body for nearly 2 decades. He looks a lot younger than he is. Dave's broad array of experience and knowledge have been invaluable in bringing a diverse viewpoint to the board. From being in the General Assembly to his knowledge of professional licensure to his ability to give fellow board members the perspective of a local public official and as a person who had previously been opposed to legalized gaming, his contributions to the board have been invaluable. I, for one, am going to miss you, Dave. I thank you for everything you've done for this board and hope that you will enjoy your well-deserved retirement. I would ask if any of my other fellow commissioners would like to add anything before we move to Dave's resolution. Any commissioners?
Yeah, I just want to echo what the chairwoman said. It was a pleasure to work with you, and you definitely will be missed.
Sure.
Thank you, Madam Chair. And just, Dave, wanted to say thank you. It's been a pleasure getting to know you better. We were on the opposite sides, but yeah, thank you. It's been great getting to know you better, and I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, I'll be calling you every so often, checking in with you. We became fast friends. Great guy. I'm definitely going to miss you. And good luck in your retirement, pal.
Dave, it's been a real pleasure getting to know you. with and without the whoopie pies that you've been bringing from Lancaster County, but you very much will be missed. It's been a real pleasure.
Commissioner Marzano
Thank you,
Diaz?
Dave. Thank you, Dave, for all that you've done. You've contributed so much to this board, and we will definitely miss you.
Well, thank you, fellow commissioners, for all the kind words you've said to Dave. They're well-deserved, and the whoopie pies will be missed, but not as much as you will be missed. As I mentioned, we have a resolution commemorating your service to the board. I'm not going to read it. Rather, I'll simply ask for a motion on the resolution for Commissioner Hinkernell. May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dillon moves that the board approve the resolution recognizing the service of David Hickernell to the board.
Commissioner Regan wholeheartedly seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion's adopted. Commissioner Hickernell would like to say a few words. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, Madam Chair, and thank you, fellow board members, for your comments and your friendship and your kindness over the last 2 years. This has have been a great experience. I've learned a lot and enjoyed it a lot more than I thought I was going to when I stepped into this chair a little more than 2 years ago. So I'm going to miss everybody. Also want to thank the staff for your hard work. I've been in state government for 41 years, worked with a lot of staff people, and you were some of the finest that I've ever worked with. You truly make us look good, and this is an agency that you can be proud to work for, and I thank you for your service to the Commonwealth. And with that, I'm a man of few words. I'm not going to change that today, but thank you, everybody, for making me welcome here over the last 2 years, and I'll miss everybody, and may God bless each and every one of you. Thank you very much.
Feel free to drop by any time. I would now like to ask for approval of the board meeting transcript and minutes from the January 29th, 2025 meeting. May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Regan moves that the board approve the minutes and transcript of the January 29, 2025 meeting.
Commissioner Dermody seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries. Now we will hear from the Executive Director, Kevin O'Toole. Kevin?
Good morning, Chair Smiler and members of the board. As you are all aware, March is the Problem Gambling Awareness Month. And since we're still in March, I thought I would also talk about compulsive and problem gambling, if you'll indulge me for a few minutes. The Gaming Control Board recently issued a resolution recognizing the significance of problem gambling and the need to highlight resources that support prevention, education, treatment, and recovery. Key personnel with our Office of Compulsive and Problem Gambling attended 2 conferences, one on the eastern part of the Commonwealth and one out west, presented by the Council on Compulsive Gambling of Pennsylvania. And our director of the Office of Compulsive and Problem Gambling, Liz Lanza, testified on Monday before the House Gaming Oversight Committee. Liz did a great job of presenting a gaming regulator's role in regard to addressing issues related to compulsive and problem gambling. For today's Executive Director's report, I would like to take this opportunity to update the board on the topic of self-imposed limits, SILs, a topic that I presented in October of last year. Gaming Control Board regulations at Section 814 offer bettors a number of responsible gaming self-imposed limits. These limits allow a gambler to control the amount of their deposits to their online gaming accounts. It allows the online player the ability to set a maximum amount per wager, to set a maximum amount of funds the player wants to spend during their online gaming session, and if necessary, the player can activate for themselves a cooling off period during which their online wagering account is deactivated from play. And that cooling off period is completely separate and apart from our own self-exclusion program. One requirement that does exist for the cooling off period is that the requirement is that the patron must impose a minimum of 72 hours of a cooling off period, a 3-day period of time. Board staff has been able to monitor the use of these self-imposed limits on a monthly basis through the assistance of online gaming operators who provide the statistics to our Office of Compulsive and Problem Gambling, and those statistics come from the registered player accounts. The most used limit is the deposit limit, and the second most used limit is the self-suspension or cool-down period. The statistics show a significant increase in the use of those two-player self-imposed limits, and increases are good. We want gamblers to look for ways to help control their spending habits and their gambling activity. In August of 2004, deposit limits were activated over 193 times during that month. In February of 2025, activation of deposit limits increased to over 285,000 times. So very good increase in that control. Similarly, the self-suspension cool-down periods were used over 105,000 times in August of 2024, and that increased to 141,000 times in February of 2025. One additional statistic that is very probative of the discussion of self-imposed limits is the percentage of Pennsylvania online accounts that used a self-imposed limit to help control their gambling activity. The utilization rate for self-imposed limits increased from 4% to 4.43% of Pennsylvania online account holders during a 6-month period. So 6 months ago, 4% of all players used one or more of those limits, and that increased 0.75% within a 6-month period. And also, one final matter would be that the Office of Communications has added a new employee, Christina Kolik, to enhance and modernize important messages from the Gaming Control Board to a broader audience. Such topics will include problem gambling and how the Gaming Control Board's regulations help to protect the gaming public. The messages will provide a fresh look and will be communicated through social media channels. We are excited about this effort to provide the public with a deeper understanding about the work we do and bring new information to them about legalized gambling in the Commonwealth. And before I take my seat, on behalf of myself and the staff of the Gaming Control Board, I would like to thank Commissioner Dave Hickernell for his outstanding service to the Gaming Control Board over the last 2 years. And staff wish you all the best in your retirement from public service. Thank you, Dave.
Thank you, Kevin. All good information. Now we will hear from our Human Resources Director, Heidi Zula. Heidi.
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the board. The Office of Human Resources has one motion for your consideration today relative to the hiring of 5 individuals. All individuals have completed the background investigation and drug screening and are ready for presentation to the board. Gavin Tice, Emily Mosquera, and Benedicta Ilagobi have been selected as compliance examiners with the Bureau of Gaming Operations and are recommended for hire by Paul Resch, Director of Gaming Operations. Summer Dauberman and Nathan Cook have been selected as casino compliance representatives at Hollywood Casino York and are recommended for hire by Greg Kazori, Director of Casino Compliance. Unless you have any questions, I ask that the board consider a motion to approve the hiring actions as indicated.
Any questions or comments? I have a motion, please.
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dermody moves that the board approve the applicants for hire as proposed by the Human Resources Director.
Commissioner Dillon seconds.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion's adopted.
Thank you.
Thank you, Heidi. Next is our Office of Chief Counsel.
Morning.
Morning.
First order of business today under the Office of Chief Counsel report is consideration of 6 petitions. Each of these petitions being brought before the board today are being brought pursuant and being considered pursuant to the documentary record, as the Office of Enforcement Counsel has no objections to any of the requests. Prior to the board meeting today, the board has been provided with the complete evidentiary record and all documents filed of record. The first petition before the board today is a joint request by Galaxy Gaming 01 LLC, Evolution Malta Holding Limited, and Galaxy Gaming Ventures LLC. It seeks approval of a merger and change in control that will result that will involve 2 of our licensed operators. Galaxy Gaming 01 LLC is a licensed manufacturer that develops and distributes table games and iGaming products. It is wholly and directly owned by Galaxy Gaming Inc., a publicly traded company. The acquiring company is Evolution AB, a publicly traded company based in Sweden. Evolution AB is 100% direct owner of Evolution Malta Limited, who is the 100% direct owner of Evolution US LLC, also a licensed gaming manufacturer by the board, or pursuant to the board order. On July 18, 2024, the parties entered into an agreement and a plan of merger to effectuate the purchase of 100% of the securities of Galaxy Gaming Inc. by Evolution Malta, along with 2 individuals, Jesper von Bar and Martin Carlsund, both of whom are already licensed by the board pursuant to their involvement with the Evolution corporations. The final result of this merger will consist of Mr. Bar, Mr. Carlsund, and Evolution AB shareholders through intermediary companies they control, being the ultimate owners of Galaxy 01. The Office of Enforcement Counsel has no objection to this change in control, subject to conditions outlined in their answer. OEC also requests that certain matters in the pleadings be maintained as confidential. Upon review of that request, the Office of Chief Counsel has determined that those documents are already in the public record, in the public view, so we'd recommend that that request be denied, and this matter is now recommended for consideration by the board.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dillon moves that the board grant the petition for approval of change of control as described by the Office of Chief Counsel. I further move that the Office of Enforcement Counsel's request for confidentiality be denied.
Commissioner Hickernell seconds.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion's adopted.
The next petition before the board today pertains to the Office of Enforcement Counsel's request to revoke Sandra Budrum's non-gaming employee registration. Ms. Budrum was employed as an environmental services public area attendant at Mount Airy Casino Resort. The uncontested facts in this matter are that on March 14, 2023, while working at Mount Airy, Ms. Budrum took a voucher mistakenly left by a patron at a slot machine. A review of the surveillance of Ms. Budrum's conduct showed her grabbing the voucher from the machine while she cleaned around it and eventually placing it in her pocket. Upon being confronted by security, she initially denied taking the voucher, but later admitted to her actions, and thereafter her employment with that casino was terminated. In April of 2024, the Office of Enforcement Counsel filed a revocation complaint. Ms. Budrum requested a hearing after receiving the complaint, but subsequently signed a waiver foregoing her right to a hearing, thereby allowing the board to decide this matter on the documents filed of record, and this matter is now ready for the board's consideration.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Hickernell moves that the board grant the Office of Enforcement Counsel's complaint to revoke Sandra Budrum's non-gaming employee registration as described by the Office of Chief Counsel.
Commissioner Ralston seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
Next before the board is a request for removal from the self-exclusion list filed by an individual with the initials CN. On August 28, 2010, CN placed himself on the list, choosing the lifetime self-exclusion option. On January 14, 2025, CN filed a request for removal from the list, indicating that he's now financially sound, responsible with his money, and would like to game for entertainment purposes. As required by the board's regulations, CN provided the required problem gambling assessment verification form signed by a certified assessment provider, confirming that an assessment of CN was performed and that problem gambling treatment was not recommended. The Office of Enforcement Counsel filed an answer stating they have no objection to CN's request as it has been over 14 years since his placement on the list, and he submitted all the required documentation. And additionally, he has no known violations of his self-exclusion ban, and this matter is now ready for the board's consideration.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dermody moves that the board grant CN's petition for removal from the casino self-exclusion list as described by the Office of Chief Counsel.
Commissioner Ralston seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
Next before the board is a second request for removal from the self-exclusion list. On August 28, 2010, an individual with the initials LN placed herself on the list, choosing the lifetime self-exclusion option. On January 14, 2025, Ellen filed a request for removal from the list, indicating that she is now financially sound, can game responsibly, and states that her gambling at this point would only be recreational. LN has complied with the board's regulations and provided the required problem gambling assessment verification form signed by a certified assessment provider, confirming that assessment of LN was performed and that problem gambling treatment was not recommended. The Office of Enforcement Counsel filed an answer stating they have no objection to LN's request, as it has been over 14 years since her placement on the list. She submitted all the required documentation, and there are no known violations of her exclusion, and this matter is now ready for the board's consideration.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Commissioner Ralston moves that the board grant Ellen's petition for removal from the casino self-exclusion list as described by the Office of Chief Counsel.
Commissioner Regan seconds.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion's adopted.
Next is a third request for removal from the self-exclusion list. On April 20th, 2007, an individual with the initials J.O. placed herself on the list, choosing the lifetime self-exclusion option. On December 20th, 2024, J.O. filed a request for removal from the list, stating that she was going through medical issues which led to her decision to place herself on the list initially. She further indicated that she now feels responsible and is in a place mentally where she can make good decisions. J.O. included with her petition the required problem gambling assessment form signed by a certified assessment provider, confirming that an assessment of J.O. was performed and that problem gambling treatment was not recommended. The Office of Enforcement Counsel filed an answer stating that it had no objection to J.O.'s request, despite the fact that she did violate her exclusion on occasions. However, the last violation was 11.5 years ago. This matter is now ready for the board's consideration.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Commissioner Regan moves that the board grant J.O.'s petition for removal from the casino self-exclusion list as described by the Office of Chief Counsel.
Commissioner Dermody seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion's adopted.
The final petition before the board today is a fourth request for removal from the self-exclusion list. In July 2012, an individual with the initials RL placed himself on the list, choosing the lifetime self-exclusion option. On November 19, 2024, RL filed his request for removal from the list, stating that he had placed himself on the list because he was missing too much time from work to engage in gaming activities. RL further stated that he did not realize he would not be able to patronize casinos in other states or attend concerts at casinos in other states that were affiliated with Pennsylvania casinos. RL did also provide the required problem gambling assessment verification form signed by a certified assessment provider, confirming that an assessment of RL was performed and that problem gambling treatment was not recommended. The Office of Enforcement Counsel filed an answer stating it has no objection to RL's request, as it has been over 12 years since his placement on the list, and he submitted all the required documentation and has no violations of his self-imposed ban, and this matter is now ready for the board's consideration.
Comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dermody moves that the board grant RL's petition for removal from the casino self-exclusion list as described by the Office of Chief Counsel.
Commissioner Dillon seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
Next presenting withdrawals and surrenders, as well as reports and recommendations, is Deputy Chief Counsel Chad Zimmerman.
Good morning, Commissioners. The next matter before the Board today pertains to several unopposed petitions to withdraw applications or surrender the credentials of the following individuals and entities: Lindsay Drake, Maudie Gill, Roy Allison, Martin Logan, Eliyahu Azure, Game Lounge Limited, Jason Smith, NT Holdings Limited, TSG Interactive US Services Limited. The Office of Enforcement Counsel has no objections to any of these withdrawals or surrenders. As a result, if the board chooses to grant these requests, in every case it would be doing so without prejudice to requester. For the record, it is noteworthy that TSG Interactive's surrender is contingent upon payment of fees currently owed to the board. However, all others have no conditions upon them. These matters are all now ripe for the board's consideration.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dillon moves that the board issue orders to approve the withdrawals and surrenders as described by the Office of Chief Counsel.
Commissioner Hickernell seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion's adopted.
Next before the board for consideration are 5 reports and recommendations received from the Office of Hearings and Appeals. These reports and recommendations, along with the evidentiary record for each hearing, have been provided to the board in advance of this meeting. Additionally, the persons involved have each been notified that the board would be considering their matter today and that each would have the ability to come forward and briefly address the board. The first report and recommendation before the board today is Brian Goodfellow. Mr. Goodfellow holds a Gaming Level 2 employee occupation permit and previously worked as a Player Services Cage Assistant Manager at Hollywood Casino Morgantown. On April 9, 2024, the Office of Enforcement Counsel filed a complaint for emergency suspension of Mr. Goodfellow's G2 permit after receiving notice that he had been charged with a felony offense. As a result of these charges, the board's executive director issued an emergency order suspending Mr. Goodfellow's G2 permit. A hearing in this matter was held June 7, 2024. OEC appeared for the hearing and presented testimony and documentary evidence. Mr. Goodfellow appeared and testified on his own behalf. Evidence and testimony at the hearing showed that Mr. Goodfellow, while employed at Hollywood Casino Morgantown, failed to report his income on applications he was filling out to receive LIHEAP and SNAP benefits, which resulted in him receiving over $5,900 in benefits between December 1, 2022 and April 30, 2023, to which he was not entitled. Mr. Goodfellow testified that his attorney in the Office of Inspector General had reached an agreement wherein the charge would ultimately be dismissed upon him repaying the benefits received. He further stated that the repayment would be satisfied, he believes, in July or August of 2024. Mr. Goodfellow also testified that his failure to disclose the income was inadvertent as he mistakenly reported the income to the wrong office. Following a hearing, a report and recommendation was issued recommending that the suspension of Mr. Goodfellow's G2 permit remain in effect. Since the issuance of the report and recommendation, Mr. Goodfellow supplemented the record with correspondence from his public defender noting the status of this case. This letter was provided to both the board and OEC. This matter is now ripe for the board's consideration.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Hickernell moves that the board adopt the report and recommendation issued by the Office of Hearings and Appeals as described by the Office of Chief Counsel, and that the suspension of Brian Goodfellow's Gaming Level 2 employee occupation permit remain in effect.
Commissioner Dillon seconds.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
Donetta Washington's matter is next before the board. This matter was presented to the board initially at the February 26, 2025 public meeting.
Chad, I'm sorry, can you just wait? I think Ms. Washington is here. Ms. Washington, would you step forward? Okay, thank you. You can proceed.
Following the February meeting, Ms. Washington filed a request for reconsideration so that she would have the opportunity to address the board. The board issued an order on March 14, 2025, granting that request. Briefly, for the record, Ms. Washington was originally placed on the board's involuntary exclusion list after leaving 3 children, ages 15, 14, and 10, unattended in a vehicle for approximately 2 hours at 1 a.m. outside Hollywood Casino at Penn National Racecourse. The report and recommendation in this matter recommended that Ms. Washington's petition for removal from the involuntary exclusion list be denied, and Ms. Washington is here, and this matter is ready for the board's consideration.
Chad, did you want to give us a few more details of the incident at issue for the record?
In this incident, she was placed on the list, leaving 3 children unattended at Hollywood Casino from 1 a.m. to 3 p.m. 3 a.m., sorry. She appeared and testified at the hearing that she was homeless at the time. The reason she was at Hollywood Casino was that someone was going to pay for a hotel room for her. When that fell through, she went to the casino to try and acquire the funds in order to pay for a hotel room, as she was homeless at the time and looking for a place for her and her children to stay.
Thank you. Ms. Washington, would you like to address the board?
Should be sworn.
Right. Could you stand and be sworn by the court reporter, please?
Yes.
And Ms. Washington, could you spell your name for the court reporter? Oh, careful. Spell your name for the court reporter, please.
Donetta, Dawnetta, Washington, Washington.
Okay. Ms. Washington, you may proceed.
Good morning, everyone. Let me see, I'm nervous. I don't remember the day that it happened, but I remember the incident. Someone was supposed to pay for my hotel room the day before, and they said they was going to do it, but didn't do it. So I took it upon myself because my children was in the car. They're 19, 18, and 15 now. I'm a mother of 13, 3 boys, 10 girls, but these are my younger 3. I went through eviction, couldn't get the funds to get a place, so I had to hop hotel to get a stable place for my kids to sleep. When I went in there, they was sleeping. My oldest daughter, I told her, I'm gonna go in here, try to get some money so I could pay for the hotel. So I did make the money. I was going to leave. The security came and said someone hit my car. You have to go right now because they hit your car. So I was like, oh my God, my children are in the car. My daughter didn't even call me. So I went out there. They asked me questions, told me I had to leave. So then I left. They called children and services on me. They came to the house. They said, I explained to them everything that happened. To the hotel, I told them everything that happened. And they just dropped the case. Then the casino said that I had to stay away for a year. I stayed away for a year, came back, they gave me a new card, and then I've been playing, and that's been it. I haven't had any other issues. But then now they kicked me out again, and then they were sending mail to the old address, but I didn't live there. So that's why it took so long for me to come here or talk to someone, because they didn't have the right address, because I didn't have an address. And they sent me multiple letters, they said, but to the old address. But I never received anything because people moved into the house, so I guess I don't know what they did to the mail. And I didn't know that I can transfer or ask the post office to hold my mail. I didn't know that until recently, that they can put a hold on any mail that comes to that address. I still don't receive a lot of mail. And I'm now at a new residence. I got housing. I've been there for a year and almost 2 years. And now I'm financially stable. But I feel as though I shouldn't be, I did what they asked me to stay away for the year. And then I came back after the year. So I don't feel as though I should be, I don't know what the word is, for a lifetime.
It's excluded and it's for 5 years, not for a lifetime.
Oh, they told me it's a life. They said life.
She would have to petition to come off after 5 years, but, which would be September of 2028.
In Hollywood may have issued a lifetime after the fact.
Okay. But technically, you could petition after 5 years to come off the list. You don't have to wait a whole lifetime. Okay. So, anyway, do you have anything else, Ms. Washington?
I think that's it.
Okay. Any questions or comments from the board?
Ms. Washington, this is Commissioner Manzano Diaz. I'd like to know, you said you were stable now, you've been living at the place. Are you working now, and are your children with you?
My children are with me. I'm disabled, so I'm not working. I receive Social Security now.
Okay. I wish you luck. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the commissioners? Ms. Washington, I have a couple of questions for you.
Okay.
You were going from hotel to hotel. How were you paying for the hotels prior to that date?
people was helping me, and I was going to the casino. Because I was at the level to where they gave me free money when I didn't have money. So the free money I would play, and like when you play and you win, you cash out, so you give you a ticket of the stuff that you won. But the money that you put in that was free, you don't get it out. So I had to play that in order to raise it up to get money out of the machine to go pay.
So you were gambling thinking you could win every time and get money?
Basically, I did.
Yeah,
Almost every time.
You're an unusual gambler. So why did you wait until 1 o'clock in the morning? You can check into a hotel at 3 or 4 in the
Right.
afternoon. Why did you wait until 1 in the morning?
I didn't have no money, and then when we went to the hotel, I can't remember the name of it. It's on Eisenhower Boulevard, and when they told me they couldn't help me pay, I just said, let me go to casino.
So you went to the hotel at what time?
I don't remember, but I was there early, and then I was waiting in the parking lot. So when the person called and said they didn't have it, they couldn't help me, they could probably help me later on this week. I just went to the casino.
So you went to the casino right after the hotel said they couldn't help you? So this
Once
was
the-
at 1 in the morning?
Because I was there, I want to say I was there since 11 o'clock. And then when they told me they couldn't, it was like 11 something.
Is that the AM or PM?
That was nighttime.
So you didn't go to the hotel till 11 PM?
Right. I've been waiting all day for them to call me back. Oh, yeah, I got you. So all I did was ride around with my kids.
Okay. And you said the security people said that someone had hit your car?
Yes, ma'am.
And that could have been a real possibility, leaving 3 kids in a car
Yes.
at 1 in the morning, that somebody could have hit it.
But I was in between cars. I was parked in between cars.
That doesn't
know.
prevent somebody from hitting your car.
Right.
Okay. All right. All right, thank you. Anything else?
Just one quick question.
Commissioner Dermody?
Did you say that you had 18 kids?
13.
13.
Yes, 13.
13. All right, thanks. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Any other questions, comments? Ms. Washington, we're going to undertake your matter at the end of this Chief Counsel's presentations. You could take a seat in the back.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
I want to make sure Sarah can weigh in. Okay, I'm sorry, you may proceed.
So for the record, we will briefly table Dunn Edders Washington for a vote after. We'll move on to Melanie Crockett. Hers is the next matter before the board. On July 17, 2024, the Office of Enforcement Counsel filed a petition to place Melanie Crockett on the involuntary interactive gaming exclusion list. A hearing in this matter was originally scheduled for November 13, 2024. Ms. Crockett requested a continuance, which was granted, and a hearing was rescheduled and held December 10, 2024. OEC appeared presenting testimony and documentary evidence. Although receiving proper notice, Ms. Crockett failed to appear. The evidence and testimony at the hearing showed that in December 2020, Ms. Crockett created fraudulent iGaming accounts using the BetMGM platform. These accounts were flagged by BetMGM when one of the accounts created utilized the name of a deceased individual. BetMGM began an investigation and were able to link all of the fraudulent accounts to one another. Ms. Crockett created the accounts using the individual's personal identifying information, receiving the $25 welcome bonus in each account that are provided when a new account is created and gamed with those funds. Consequently, a report and recommendation was issued recommending that Ms. Crockett be placed on the board's involuntary interactive gaming exclusion list, and this matter is now ripe for the board's consideration.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Commissioner Ralston moves that the board adopt the report and recommendation issued by the Office of Hearings and Appeals as described by the Office of Chief Counsel, and that Melanie Crockett be placed on the board's involuntary interactive exclusion list.
Commissioner Regan seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion's adopted.
The next report and recommendation pertains to Manuel Martinez. On April 9, 2024, the Office of Enforcement Counsel filed a petition to place Manuel Martinez on the involuntary exclusion list. A hearing in this matter was held in December of 2024. OEC appeared and presented testimonial, documentary, and surveillance evidence. Mr. Martinez appeared and testified on his own behalf. The evidence and testimony presented show that on September 18, 2022, a patron reported to casino staff that there were two unattended children who turned out to be ages 13 and 8 in a vehicle located at the parking lot at Valley Forge Casino Resort. Video surveillance showed that Mr. Martinez and Gloria Chacon, the children's mother, left the children unattended in a vehicle, entered the casino, and gamed. Upon being approached by security, Mr. Martinez was escorted back to the vehicle, where Pennsylvania State Police were speaking with the children. The children were left alone for approximately 52 minutes. No criminal charges were filed against the individuals. Mr. Martinez testified that he told Ms. Chacon she needed to remain with her children while he gamed at the casino, but that she responded to him stating that she wanted to game as well. He further stated that he told her to go back to the car as the children were her responsibility, but that she refused. After hearing all the evidence presented, a report and recommendation was issued recommending that Mr. Martinez be placed on the board's involuntary exclusion list, and this matter is now ripe for the board's consideration.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Regan moves that the board adopt the report and recommendation issued by the Office of Hearings and Appeals as described by the Office of Chief Counsel, and that Manuel Martinez be placed on the board's involuntary exclusion list.
Commissioner Dermody, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
The final report and recommendation stems from another petition to place an individual on the board's involuntary exclusion list. On April 25, 2024, the Office of Enforcement Counsel filed its petition to place Mengshi Wang on the involuntary exclusion list. Ms. Wang requested a hearing which was held October of 2024. OEC appeared presenting testimony, documentary, and surveillance evidence. Ms. Wang failed to appear at the hearing and it was held in her absence. However, after the hearing, Ms. Wang contacted the Office of Hearings and Appeals, indicating that she thought the hearing was for the following day. Another hearing was held in December 2024, where Ms. Wang appeared and testified on her own behalf. The evidence and testimony at the hearing showed that on April 21, 2023, Ms. Wang and a male companion left an 8-year-old alone in a hotel room at Live Casino and Hotel in Philadelphia while the couple entered the casino. While Ms. Wang's companion gamed, she ordered takeout from one of the restaurants and then obtained a player's card. Ms. Wang's daughter left the hotel room and came down to the lobby where she was approached by an employee. The Pennsylvania State Police were contacted and Ms. Wang, as she walked towards and confronted Ms. Wang as she walked towards the hotel from the casino lobby. Thereafter, Ms. Wang, her companion, and her daughter left the property. Ms. Wang's daughter was left unattended for just shy of an hour. No charges were filed, but she was issued a permanent eviction from the property. Ms. Wang then violated her eviction on 4 separate occasions. Ms. Wang testified that she was only picking up dinner from inside the casino and that it's unfair to exclude her from all casinos as opposed to just Live where the incident occurred. After hearing all the evidence presented, a report and recommendation was issued recommending that Mengshi Wang be placed on the board's involuntary exclusion list, and this matter is now ripe for the board's consideration.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dermody moves that the board adopt the report and recommendation issued by the Office of Hearings and Appeals as described by the Office of Chief Counsel, and that Mengshi Wang be placed on the board's involuntary exclusion list.
Commissioner Dillon, seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion's adopted.
That would otherwise conclude the matters of the Office of Chief Counsel.
Okay, thank you. At this point, we are going to take a 10-minute recess, go into executive session, and we will return to address Ms. Washington's issue.
Commissioner Diaz, this is Richard McGarvey. We have you back in the public meeting room. Can you hear me?
Thank you, I can.
Excellent, thank you very much.
Mhm.
Back on the record now. Okay. Mr. Zimmerman, you want to tee it up so that we can
Back on the record in the matter of the report and recommendation involving Dawnetta Washington. Just for the record's sake, I would provide a little additional information. First, in that Ms. Washington's matter is a petition for removal from the involuntary exclusion list. She was initially placed on the list by board order on the September 20th, 2023 meeting. That would mean that her 5-year eligibility in order to request removal would be September of 2028. Once again, this incident stems back to February 14th, 2022. As Ms. Washington testified to, she was given a 1-year ban from Hilo Casino at Penn National Racecourse, which she did comply with. The only, and I'm going to put this in quotes, violation of her exclusion was when she went to the casino believing that she was only excluded from Hollywood, not from all Pennsylvania casinos, and only for a 1-year period. And then she was cited for trespass at the time, but that was in October of 2023 after she had been placed on the board's exclusion list.
And the report and recommendation was put on the...
And the report and recommendation was to deny the petition because it is an early request and not enough grounds were given to provide extraordinary circumstances that would warrant early removal.
Thank you. Any questions or comments from the board? Hearing none, may I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Regan. Madam Chair, Commissioner Regan moves that the board adopt the report and recommendation issued by the Office of Hearing and Appeals as directed by the Office of Chief Counsel, and that Donetta Washington's petition for removal from the board's involuntary exclusion list be denied and that she remain on the list.
Commissioner Ralston seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion is granted. Ms. Washington, thank you very much for coming before us, and we wish you very much that we wish you well in your staying stable in housing and income. Okay? And
I'll take you out back.
council will
Yep.
explain to you exactly what transpired, okay? Thank you. So, thank you, Chad and Steve. We will now have the Bureau of Licensing Matters presented by the Director of the Bureau of Licensing, Sean Hannon. Sean?
Good morning, Madam Chair and members of the board. The first licensing matter for your consideration is approval of a slot machine manufacturer license for Pavilion Payments Gaming Services Incorporated, doing business as Pavilion Payments. The company was formed in Illinois in 1999 with its principal place of business in Las Vegas, Nevada. Pavilion Payments provides payment processing services to the gaming industry. The company was granted interim authorization on November 1st, 2024. The Bureau of Investigation and Enforcement has completed its investigation of the company, and the Bureau of Licensing has provided you with a background investigation and suitability report. I have provided you with a draft order and ask that you consider the order to approve the slot machine manufacturer license for Pavilion Payments.
The Office of Enforcement Counsel has no objection.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Hickernell moves that the board grant the slot machine manufacturer license as described by the Bureau of Licensing.
Commissioner Dermody seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Aye.
Oh, sorry, all opposed? Motion's adopted.
Next, we have consideration of interactive gaming and sports wagering manufacturer licenses for Strive Platform Limited, doing business as Strive Gaming. Formed in the United Kingdom in 2021, Strive Gaming's principal place of business is in London, England. The company intends to offer a player account management system to interactive gaming and sports wagering operators within the Commonwealth. Strive Gaming was granted interim authorization on February 5th, 2024. The Bureau of Investigation and Enforcement has completed its investigation, and the Bureau of Licensing has provided you with a background investigation and suitability report, and the approval is ready for your consideration. I provide you with draft orders and ask that you first consider the order to approve Strive Gaming for an interactive gaming manufacturer license.
Enforcement Counsel has no objection.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dillon moves that the board grant the interactive gaming manufacturer license as described by the Bureau of Licensing.
Commissioner Ralston seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion's adopted.
And next will be consideration of Strive Gaming for a sports wagering manufacturer license.
Enforcement Counsel has no objection.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Commissioner Ralston moves that the board grant the sports wagering manufacturing license as described by the Bureau of Licensing.
Commissioner Regan seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
Commissioner Manzano Diaz, thank you. All opposed? Motion's adopted.
Next, we have consideration of a VGT establishment license for Raceway Management Company Incorporated, doing business as Envo Travel Plaza, High Ridge, who was previously approved for a conditional license. The Bureau of Investigation and Enforcement has completed its investigation, including evaluating that the applicant meets the VGT establishment eligibility criteria in the Gaming Act. The Bureau of Licensing has provided you with a background investigation and suitability report. I have provided you with draft order and ask that you consider the order to license Raceway Management Company Incorporated, located at 1297 Keystone Boulevard in Pottsville.
Enforcement Council has no objection.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Commissioner Regan moves that the board grant the video gaming terminal establishment license as described by the Bureau of Licensing.
Commissioner Dermody seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion's adopted.
Also is the approval of a VGT establishment license for CHR Corp. Rudder Store 99, who was previously approved for a conditional license. The Bureau of Investigation and Enforcement has completed its investigation, including evaluation that the applicant meets the VGT establishment eligibility criteria in the Gaming Act. The Bureau of Licensing has provided you with a background investigation and suitability report. I have provided you with a draft order and ask that you consider the order to license CHR Corp. Rudder Store 99, located at 1609 Scalp Avenue in Johnstown.
Enforcement Council has no objection.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dermody moves that the board grant the video gaming terminal establishment license as described by the Bureau of Licensing.
Commissioner Dillon seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
Next is consideration of 5 video game terminal establishment license renewals for CHR Corp. doing business as Rudders. The Rudders locations being presented for renewal are stores 20, 53, 79, 81, and 96. The Bureau of Investigation and Enforcement has completed its investigation, and the Bureau of Licensing has provided you with background investigation and suitability reports. I have provided you with draft orders and ask that the board first consider the order to renew the video game terminal establishment license for Rudders Store 20, located at 2800 Vine Street in Middletown.
Enforcement Council has no objection.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dillon moves that the board grant the video gaming terminal establishment license renewal as described by the Bureau of Licensing.
Commissioner Hickernell seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion's adopted.
The next order is to renew the license for Rudder Store 53, located at 2213 Old Trail Road in Edders.
Enforcement Council has no objection.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Hickernell moves that the board grant the video gaming terminal establishment license renewal as described by the Bureau of Licensing.
Commissioner Ralston seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
Next is the order to renew the license for Rudder Store number 79, located at 234 Coon Lane in Duncansville.
Enforcement Council has no objection.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dermody moves that the board grant the video gaming terminal establishment license renewal as described by the Bureau of Licensing.
Commissioner Ralston seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion's adopted.
Next is the order to renew the license for Rudder Store number 81, located at 15 New Enterprise Drive in Leesport.
Enforcement Council has no objection.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Commissioner Ralston moves that the board grant the video gaming terminal establishment license renewal as described by the Bureau of Licensing.
Commissioner Regan seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion's adopted.
And finally, the order to renew the license for Rudder Store 96, located at 20 Commerce Drive in Milroy.
Enforcement Council has no objection.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Commissioner Regan moves that the board grant the video gaming terminal establishment license renewal as described by the Bureau of Licensing.
Commissioner Dermody seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
Next is consideration of a conditional video game terminal establishment license for CHR Corp. Rudders Store number 107. The board may conditionally license an establishment, provided the applicant has never been convicted of a felony, is current on state taxes, has submitted a completed application, and has not been convicted of a gambling law violation. A preliminary review of this applicant indicates that they meet this criteria. Please note that this is strictly a conditional approval. Final approval will be based on the applicant meeting all the eligibility criteria provided in the statute. A final eligibility determination will follow investigation and site inspection by the Bureau of Investigation and Enforcement. I've provided you with a draft order and ask the board consider a motion to approve the conditional video game terminal establishment license for CHR Corp. Rudder Store number 107, located at 100 Kramer Road in Shippensburg.
Enforcement Council has no objection.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dermody moves that the board grant the video gaming terminal establishment conditional license as described by the Bureau of Licensing.
Commissioner Dillon seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion's adopted.
Next are principal and key employee licenses. The Bureau of Licensing provides you with a proposed order for 6 principals and 6 key employees. I ask that the board consider the order approving these licenses.
Enforcement Council has no objection.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dillon moves that the board grant the principal and key employee licenses as described by the Bureau of Licensing.
Commissioner Hickernell seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
Next are principal and key employee temporary credentials. The Bureau of Licensing provides you with an order regarding the issuance of temporary credentials for 8 principals and 9 key employees. I ask that the board consider the order approving these credentials.
Enforcement Council has no objection.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Hickernell moves that the board grant the temporary principal and key employee credentials described by the Bureau of Licensing.
Commissioner Regan seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
Additionally, for your consideration are gaming employee permits and non-gaming employee registrations. The Bureau of Licensing has provided you with a list of 474 individuals to whom the Bureau has granted temporary or full occupation permits and 173 individuals to whom the Bureau has granted registration under the authority delegated to the Bureau of Licensing. I ask that the board consider a motion approving the order.
Enforcement Council has no objection.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dillon moves that the board approve the applications for gaming employee occupation permits and non-gaming employee registrations as described by the Bureau of Licensing.
Commissioner Ralston seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion's adopted.
Next, there is a recommendation of denial for 1 gaming level 2, 1 gaming, and 2 non-gaming applicants. The Bureau of Licensing has provided you with the order addressing the applicants who the Office of Enforcement Counsel has recommended for denial. I ask that the board consider the order approving these denials.
Enforcement Council continues to request denial in each matter.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Commissioner Ralston moves that the board deny the gaming level 2, gaming, and non-gaming employee applications as described by the Bureau of Licensing.
Commissioner Regan seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion's adopted.
The next matter for your consideration is withdrawal requests. In each case, the license, permit, or registration is no longer required. For today's meeting, I have provided the board 2 key employees, 20 gaming, and 1 non-gaming applicant. I ask that the board consider the order approving these withdrawals.
Enforcement Council has no objection.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Commissioner Regan moves that the board grant the withdrawal of key employee gaming and non-gaming employee applications as described by the Bureau of Licensing.
Commissioner Dermody seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
Motion's adopted.
In addition, we have an order to renew the gaming service provider certification for Giesecke and DeVriant Currency Technology America Incorporated, doing business as G&D Currency Technology America Incorporated, as well as to initially certify GDC America Incorporated. I have provided you with a draft order and ask that the board consider the order certifying these companies.
Enforcement Council has no objection.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dermody moves that the board approve the gaming service provider certifications as described by the Bureau of Licensing.
Commissioner Dillon seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion's adopted.
And finally, for your consideration are gaming service provider registrations. The Bureau of Licensing provides you with an order and an attached list of 7 registered gaming service provider applicants. I ask that the board consider the order registering these gaming service providers.
Enforcement Council has no objection.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dillon moves that the board approve the gaming service provider registrations as described by the Bureau of Licensing.
Commissioner Hickernell seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you, Sean. Next is the Office of Enforcement Counsel, Cyrus Petrie. Cyrus.
Good morning, Chair, members of the board. The Office of Enforcement Counsel will present 22 matters today for the board's consideration, in which we will request the approval of 1 consent agreement, 1 revocation, 2 suspensions, and 18 involuntary exclusions. The next matter on the agenda for the board's consideration is a consent agreement between the Office of Enforcement Counsel and Category 1 licensee Washington Trotting Association, LLC, doing business as Hollywood Casino at the Meadows, and iGaming manufacturer Sports Information Services Limited, doing business as Canby. The matter will be presented by Senior Enforcement Counsel John Crow. Representatives for Hollywood, Meadows, and Canby are present. And at this time, I would request that those individuals please introduce themselves for the record, and that all non-attorney witnesses please stand and be sworn.
Alex Vizda, ALEX, last name Vizda, HVIZDA, Director of Compliance for Hollywood Casino at the Meadows.
Matthew Heiskell, MATTHEISKELL, Vice President and General Manager, Hollywood Casino at the Meadows.
Jack Duffy, Sportsbook Regulatory Lead at Canby, JACKDUFFY.
Joseph Grad, JOSEPHGRAD, attorney on behalf of Canby.
Yes, any non-attorney witnesses, please stand to be sworn. Mr. Crowe, you may proceed.
Thank you, Chair. Members of the board, John Crowe, CROHE, Senior Enforcement Counsel for the Office of Enforcement Counsel. The next matter on the agenda concerns sports wagering errors. On March 31st, 2023, the Meadows self-reported 35 incidents of past posted sports wagers. Specifically, on March 30th, 2023, at the Meadows Retail Sportsbook, at which bookmaking services are provided by Canby, one individual past posted 35 wagers. Each of the wagers were placed on variations of the result of the next pitch markets during the Major League Baseball game between the Cincinnati Reds and the Pittsburgh Pirates. The patron placed each wager at sports wagering kiosks 109 and 110. The wagers were made in the total stake amount of $69,329, which ultimately paid out a total of $100,947, resulting in a loss to the facility of $31,617.75. On April 5th, 2023, the Meadows submitted an error report indicating that this incident was able to occur because the Canby trader assigned to the game failed to close the events in a timely manner and failed to notice the multiple bets were made by the same two kiosks after the outcome was known. The Meadows further explained that the Canby supervisory team failed to notice the wagers. Trader refers to the individual responsible for creating offerings on which individuals can place wagers, and in the instance relevant here too, manually closing the offerings upon completion of the event on which the offering is available. On April 11th, 2023, Canby provided an incident report to the Meadows stating that the cause of the error which resulted in the past posting was manual trading errors wherein the trader was late to update pitches on numerous occasions during the time of the incident. In each incident, the event was closed between 6 and 40 seconds after the pitch occurred. All impacted wagers were settled, and the patron who past posted the 35 wagers cashed out all associated tickets. Pursuant to the regulations, wagering devices shall prevent past posting of wagers and the voiding or cancellation of wagers after the outcome of the event is known. The Office of Enforcement Counsel, Washington Trotting Association LLC, doing business as Hollywood Casino at the Meadows, and Sports Information Services Limited, doing business as Canby, respectfully request that the board approve the consent agreement and stipulations of settlement, and that the Washington Trotting Association LLC, doing business as Hollywood Casino at the Meadows, and Sports Information Services Limited, doing business as Canby, pay a total civil penalty of $10,000, as well as a $2,500 administrative fee for costs incurred by board staff in connection with investigations into this matter.
Thank you. Hollywood and Canby, would you like to address the board?
Madam Chair, members of the board, my name is Jack Duffy. I'm the Sportsbook Regulatory Lead at Canby. As a member of the Sportsbook Control Department, one of our main responsibilities is incident management. We manage the reporting of the PGCB as well as ensuring proper remedial actions after each incident. I appreciate the opportunity to give you a couple of remarks, and feel free to ask questions after. He explained the incident a little bit, but basically it was opening day in 2023. I guess at Hollywood Casino at the Meadows placed 35 wagers on live instant markets after the outcomes were already known in the Pittsburgh Pirates and Cincinnati Reds game. This opening day also introduced several new rule changes, most notably the pitch clock. This adjustment led to a significantly faster paced game, reducing the average game time by over 30 minutes. Some consider that the most significant change in MLB history. So this incident was caused by a manual error from the trader assigned to the match. They were simply late to update the pitch result on numerous occasions and did not appreciate what the ramifications of this would be. Additionally, we would expect our trading support staff responsible for monitoring bets to have identified the issue sooner. While they did notice the bets in real time, they initially did not believe them to be past posting. Following the incident, we conducted a thorough review of our processes to ensure this error would not happen again. Performance review tickets were raised for all staff involved, and they received feedback on how they could have handled the situation better. To prevent future issues, additional trading support staff were scheduled to ensure proper coverage for all MLB games. Additionally, the trading team was reminded to adjust templates when necessary. Had the trader adjusted to a semi-instant template, the markets that were impacted would have been removed. Since this incident on March 30th, 2023, we have not seen any related incidents throughout 2 full MLB seasons. Canby fully appreciates that its ability to provide services in Pennsylvania is a privilege, and from initial licensure in 2018, Canby has worked collaboratively with full transparency with the PGCB sports wagering staff. The PGC staff members responsible for overseeing sports wagering are dedicated, highly knowledgeable, hardworking professionals, and Canby and the PGCB share the same goal: to provide an error-free product to its several operator partners in Pennsylvania. That concludes my remarks, and if any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Thank you.
Any questions or comments from the board?
Yes, Madam Chair.
Commissioner Dillon.
So there was 2 individuals that were involved in this as far as placing the bets, correct? Did I read it was two individuals that were?
So the truth is, Canby doesn't have personal information of the customers, so basically we just see unique IDs.
Okay.
It was 2 unique IDs, but I believe it was one person from 2 different kiosks.
Correct. Commissioner Dillon, yes, Alex Vizda, Director of Compliance. There was one individual at the property, and he was using 2 different kiosks. And part of the remedial measures here at the property, because we can't see the level of detail that they have, was to retrain our sportsbook staff that if you see someone using multiple kiosks, or if they're standing there for a long period of time or have any sort of electronic device with them, that's suspicious activity you need to go investigate, because a typical kiosk transaction is you walk up, you place your wagers, you get your ticket, and you go. But this individual, having found this vulnerability, was standing there going back and forth trying to get the bets in as quickly as he could, because he knew he was past posting.
And that was my second question. I mean, how was he able to pick up on this that quickly to realize that there was a delay, for him to be able to get a bet in within 10, 15 seconds? I mean, that's somebody.
There could have been somebody at the park. We don't know that. But I mean, he would have seen if he had been listening to it, or been watching the game and took advantage of that 6 to 40 seconds.
Because even watching on the phone, it's delayed. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's just crazy that he was able to pick up that there was a delay going on to be able to, pretty much steal.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Any other questions or comments? He picked up after he won one. He realized.
Something was going on.
He was quick. So Canby, with regard to the trader, I understand that particular trader was moved to another area.
Yeah, they were moved from baseball trading altogether. They're primarily based in Manila, this trader specifically. So yeah, they haven't traded baseball since.
And had they been with Canby for a while in that position?
I believe they were, but this was because this was the first day of the MLB season. Yeah, I just don't think their experience was that strong in MLB. To give a little bit of background on why they were doing what they were doing, essentially we normally, in a best case scenario, we're taking the pitch results straight from a feed provider, like in this case, BetRadar. In this specific case, the connection disconnected, which isn't necessarily rare. It happens, and traders are prepared to do so. So, yeah, in this case, she or he, they just were late to update the pitch, basically.
Okay.
But
thank you. And Alex, I think you addressed what has been done on your end too.
Correct, and we haven't seen any sort of similar behavior, as they haven't seen any either.
Good.
One other question. So you guys are prepared for when they go with this electronic pitch count? Like, you guys got things in place that you're going to be able to?
Sure. Yeah, do you mean the upcoming robotic ump situation?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, so I mean, our baseball traders are really, sharp on baseball, you could say. I mean, when the pitch clock initially got introduced and we had to deal with, would this pitch violation count as a ball on a result of pitch or whatever like that, that was a long conversation. So they've been preparing for the robotic ump, even though it's not going to be in this season. It was only in spring training. But yeah, that's all covered.
Commissioner Regan?
I'm just trying to make sure I understand correctly. So you're kind of unclear whether there was any complicity on the part of a staff member, or do you?
No, there was definitely no
Definitely not?
complicity on the part of a staff member. It was the patron who was in there at both of the kiosks going back and forth.
We didn't have any evidence to support that. It appeared to be one patron taking advantage of the situation, standing in between two kiosks.
Gotcha. Thank you.
Any other questions? Ms. Langen?
Were you guys able to do anything with the patron?
Yeah, so we did review to see if there was any evidence of collusion with the patron and any other associated individuals. There did not appear to be any. The individual was issued a warning letter explaining that they, violated the integrity of sports wagering. But as it appeared to just be situation who's taking advantage of it, that was the extent of the action taken.
That's probably worth the $30,000 for them.
A little bit of shame.
A little bit of shame. Any other questions or comments? Hearing none, may I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Hirschnell moves that the board approve the consent agreement between the Office of Enforcement Counsel and Washington Trotting Association, LLC, doing business as Hollywood Casino at the Meadows, and Sports Information Services Limited, doing business as Canby, as described by the Office of Enforcement Counsel.
Commissioner Regan seconds.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion's adopted. Thank you, gentlemen.
The next three matters on the agenda consist of enforcement actions in which the Office of Enforcement Counsel filed complaints seeking the revocation or suspension of permits or registrations previously issued by the board. The complaint in each matter has been filed with the board's Office of Hearings and Appeal and properly served upon the individual named in each complaint. The individual named in each complaint failed to respond within 30 days as required by board regulation. As a result, the Office of Enforcement Counsel filed a request for default judgment in each instance and properly served the same upon each respondent. Therefore, the facts in each complaint are deemed admitted. All filed documents have been provided to the board, and matters are presently ripe for the board's consideration. In each matter, we will provide a brief summary of the facts and make a request for the appropriate board action.
Good morning, Madam Chair, Commissioners. Juan Sanchez with the Office of Enforcement Counsel, SANCHEZ. The next matter on the agenda for the board's consideration is the suspension of the non-gaming employee registration issued to Jordan Miller Wilson. Mr. Miller Wilson was employed as a game presenter at Evolution US LLC. The City of Philadelphia Police Department arrested and criminally charged Jordan Miller Wilson with felony offenses arising out of possession of child pornography, which charges remain pending. Evolution terminated him, and he is not currently employed in Pennsylvania's gaming industry. Mr. Miller Wilson failed to disclose this arrest to the board. At this time, the Office of Enforcement Counsel requests that the board suspend a non-gaming employee registration issued to Jordan Miller Wilson.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Commissioner Ralston moves that the board approve the suspension of Jordan Miller Wilson's non-gaming employee registration for the conduct described by the Office of Enforcement Counsel.
Commissioner Regan seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion passes.
Good morning, Chair and members of the board. Andrea Roberts, ROBERTS, Assistant Enforcement Counsel. The next matter on the agenda for the board's consideration is the suspension of the non-gaming employee registration issued to Samij Smith. Mr. Smith was previously employed as an EVS attendant at Team Clean Inc. Mr. Smith was arrested and criminally charged with several felonies and misdemeanors for allegedly firing gunshots into an occupied structure. At this time, the Office of Enforcement Counsel requests the board suspend the non-gaming employee registration issued to Samij Smith.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Commissioner Regan moves that the board approve the suspension of Samich Smith's non-gaming employee registration for the conduct described by the Office of Enforcement Counsel.
Commissioner Dermody seconds.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion passes.
The next matter on the agenda for the board's consideration is the revocation of the gaming employee occupation permit issued to Evan Zafuto. Mr. Zafuto was previously employed as a poker dealer at Live Pittsburgh Casino. Over the course of 8 work shifts, Mr. Zafuto sold $694 from the rake, high hands jackpot contributions, and from a patron's winning pot at the table game he was working. Rivers terminated Mr. Zafuto's employment, and he was criminally charged for his actions. At this time, the Office of Enforcement Counsel requests the board revoke the gaming employee occupation permit issued to Evan Zafuto.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dermody moves that the board approve the revocation of Evan Zafuto's gaming employee occupation permit for the conduct described by the Office of Enforcement Counsel.
Commissioner Dillon seconds.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion is adopted.
The remaining matters on the agenda consist of enforcement actions in which the Office of Enforcement Counsel filed petitions seeking the involuntary exclusion of individuals who are inimical to the interests of the Commonwealth and are licensed gaming therein. In each instance, the petition for exclusion has been filed with the Board's Office of Hearings and Appeal and properly served upon the individual named in the petition. The individual named in each petition failed to respond within 30 days as required by board regulation. As a result, the Office of Enforcement Counsel filed a request for default judgment in each instance and properly served the same upon each individual. Therefore, all facts in each petition are deemed admitted. All filed documents have been provided to the board, and the matters are presently ripe for the board's consideration. In each instance, if the board orders the proposed exclusion, each individual's photo, personal identifiers, and a summary of the inimical conduct will be placed on the board's public website. Once again, in each matter, we will provide a brief summary of the facts and make a request for the appropriate board action.
Again, Andrea Roberts, Assistant Enforcement Counsel. The next matter on the agenda is a request to place Caron Griffin on the involuntary exclusion list. Mr. Griffin was present at Parks Casino when he dropped 48 counterfeit $100 bills from his possession onto the casino floor. Parks permanently banned Mr. Griffin from their property as a result of this incident. Mr. Griffin was criminally charged for his actions. At this time, the Office of Enforcement Counsel requests the board place Caron Griffin on the involuntary exclusion list.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dillon moves that the board approve the addition of Caron Griffin to the PGCB involuntary exclusion list for the conduct described by the Office of Enforcement Counsel.
Commissioner Hickernell seconds.
All in favor? Aye. Commissioner Manzano Diaz.
I said aye.
Oh, it didn't show up on the screen, sorry. Thank you.
That's okay.
All opposed? Motion's adopted.
The next matter on the agenda is a request to place Jamison Hansen on the involuntary exclusion list. Mr. Hansen was present at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia when he aided and abetted 2 underage individuals to enter the gaming floor. Live permanently banned Mr. Hansen from their property as a result of this incident. At this time, the Office of Enforcement Counsel requests the board place Jamison Hansen on the involuntary exclusion list.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Hickernell moves that the board approve the addition of Jamison Hansen to the Pennsylvania Gaming Control Board's involuntary exclusion list for the conduct described by the Office of Enforcement Counsel. I further move that Mr. Hansen shall be on the involuntary exclusion list for a period of 1 year, at which point he shall be automatically removed from the list.
Commissioner Ralston seconds.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
The next matter on the agenda is a request to place Daniel Jones on the involuntary exclusion list. Mr. Jones was present at Live Casino and Hotel Philadelphia when he stole $9,500 worth of value checks from a dealer's float. Mr. Johnson then ran out of the casino. Live permanently banned Mr. Jones from their property as a result of this incident. Mr. Jones was criminally charged for his actions. At this time, the Office of Enforcement Counsel requests the board place Daniel Jones on the involuntary exclusion list.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dillon moves that the board approve the additional Daniel Jones to the PGCB involuntary exclusion list for the conduct described by the Office of Enforcement Counsel.
Commissioner Ralston seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion is adopted.
Again, Juan Sanchez with the Office of Enforcement Counsel. The next matter on the agenda for the board's consideration is a request to place Cameron Starr on the involuntary exclusion list. Mr. Starr was found to be in possession of a controlled substance and overdose while playing slot machines at Live Casino, Pittsburgh. The incident required medical and casino staff intervention. Mr. Starr became combative with staff and emergency responders after he was revived. Pennsylvania State Police arrested Mr. Starr and charged him with felony and misdemeanor offenses. Mr. Starr pleaded guilty to resisting arrest, misdemeanor of the second degree, possession of a controlled substance, an aggravated misdemeanor, and 2 counts of simple assault, misdemeanor of the second degree in relation to the incident. The Office of Enforcement Counsel now requests that the board place Cameron Starr on the involuntary exclusion list.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Commissioner Ralston moves that the board approve the addition of Cameron Starr to the PGCB involuntary exclusion list for the conduct described by the Office of Enforcement Counsel.
Commissioner Regan seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion is adopted.
The next matter on the agenda for the board's consideration is a request to place Kyle Tracy on the interactive gaming involuntary exclusion list. Mr. Tracy created multiple accounts on the BetMGM interactive gaming platform using the personal identifying information of various other individuals engaged in interactive gaming with bonus money issued to the accounts without deposit. All the accounts were closed and the devices were blocked by BetMGM. No criminal charges were filed. The Office of Enforcement Counsel now requests that the board place Kyle Tracy on the interactive gaming involuntary exclusion list.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Regan moves that the board approve the addition of Kyle Tracy to the PGCB involuntary interactive gaming exclusion list for the conduct described by the Office of Enforcement Counsel.
Commissioner Dermody seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
Commissioner Manzano Diaz, we couldn't hear you.
Aye.
Thank you. All opposed? Motion's adopted.
The next matter on the agenda for the board's consideration is a request to place Albert Weitzman on the interactive gaming involuntary exclusion list. Mr. Weitzman created multiple accounts on the Unibet interactive gaming platform using the personal identifying information of other individuals to game with gameplay funded through casino bonus incentives. All of the accounts were closed and the devices used were blocked by Unibet. No criminal charges were filed. The Office of Enforcement Counsel now requests that the board place Albert Weitzman on the interactive gaming involuntary exclusion list.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dermody moves that the board approve the addition of Albert Weitzman to the Pennsylvania Gaming Control Board's involuntary interactive gaming exclusion list for the conduct described by the Office of Enforcement Counsel.
Commissioner Dillon seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion's adopted.
Morning, Madam Chair and members of the board. Michael Rowland, ROL A&D with the Office of Enforcement Counsel. The next matter on the agenda is a petition to place Devin Alston on the involuntary exclusion list. While present on the live Philadelphia casino gaming floor, Mr. Alston was observed stealing a stack of gaming chips valued at $500 and fleeing the casino. Mr. Alston was subsequently criminally charged for his actions. In a separate incident, Mr. Alston was caught taking approximately $1,000 in gaming chips out of the float of a table at Parks Casino. Mr. Alston was caught and the gaming chips were returned. Mr. Alston was criminally charged by the Pennsylvania State Police. At this time, the Office of Enforcement Counsel requests that the board place Devin Alston on the involuntary exclusion list.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dillon moves that the board approve the addition of Devin Alston to the PGCB involuntary exclusion list for the conduct described by the Office of Enforcement Counsel.
Commissioner Hickernell seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
The next matter on the agenda is a request to place Crystal Clay on the interactive gaming involuntary exclusion list. Ms. Clay created an interactive gaming account with Parks Casino's interactive wagering platform and deposited $1,500 into the account. Ms. Clay's wagering activity resulted in her losing the entirety of the money she deposited. Subsequently, Ms. Clay failed or refused to pay $1,500 that she owed to Parks Casino as a result of her gaming activity. Ms. Clay's interactive gaming account has been closed. The Office of Enforcement Counsel now requests that the board place Crystal Clay on the interactive gaming involuntary exclusion list.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Hickernell moves that the board approve the addition of Crystal Clay to the Pennsylvania Gaming Control Board's involuntary interactive gaming exclusion list for the conduct described by the Office of Enforcement Counsel.
Commissioner Regan seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
The next matter on the agenda is a request to place Christy Olson on the interactive gaming involuntary exclusion list. Ms. Olson created and placed funds in 9 separate accounts on the BetMGM interactive gaming website. All of the accounts were linked to a single electronic device. Ms. Olson used her own personal identifiable information to create 4 of the accounts and used other individuals' personal identifiable information to create the other 5 accounts. Subsequently, Ms. Olson failed or refused to pay $5,978 that she owed to BetMGM as a result of her gaming activity. All of the interactive gaming accounts associated with Ms. Olson have been closed. The Office of Enforcement Counsel now requests that the board place Christy Olson on the interactive gaming involuntary exclusion list.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dermody moves that the board approve the addition of Christy Olson to the Pennsylvania Gaming Control Board's involuntary interactive gaming exclusion list for the conduct described by the Office of Enforcement Counsel.
Commissioner Olson seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion is adopted.
The next matter on the agenda is a request to place Joseph Tenenny on the interactive gaming involuntary exclusion list. Mr. Tenenny created an interactive gaming account with the Parks Casino's interactive wagering platform and deposited $7,069 into the account. Mr. Tenenny's wagering activity resulted in him losing the entirety of the money which he deposited. Subsequently, Mr. Tenenny failed or refused to pay $6,375 that he owed to Parks Casino as a result of his gaming activity. Mr. Tenenny's interactive gaming account has been closed. The Office of Enforcement Counsel now requests that the board place Joseph Tenenny on the interactive gaming involuntary exclusion list.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Commissioner Ralston moves that the board approve the addition of Joseph Tenenny to the PGCB involuntary interactive gaming exclusion list for the conduct described by the Office of Enforcement Counsel.
Commissioner Regan seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
The next matter on the agenda for the board's consideration is the petition to place Ha Tran on the involuntary exclusion list. While at Rivers, Philadelphia, Mr. Tran was observed passing match play coupons to other players. The coupons were in the amounts of $25, $50, and $100 and were not issued in Ha Tran's name. It was discovered that Mr. Tran had at least 19 players who cooperated with him to wrongfully and/or fraudulently redeem match play coupons for his use. Mr. Tran was permanently evicted from the property. At this time, the Office of Enforcement Counsel requests that the board place Ha Tran on the involuntary exclusion list.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Commissioner Regan moves that the board approve the addition of Ha Tran to the PGCB involuntary exclusion list for the conduct described by the Office of Enforcement Counsel.
Commissioner Dermody seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion carries.
The next 2 matters on the agenda are related and are requests to place Bogdan Petrov and Maya Zinkova on the involuntary exclusion list. And with the board's permission, I will read one set of facts and then request that each individual be placed on the list. Mr. Petrov and Ms. Zinkova left their 13-year-old son in a hotel room inside Live Philadelphia Casino while they went to the gaming floor and played table games. The minor was unattended for approximately 2 hours. The minor was discovered after another patron on the gaming floor heard the couple discussing the minor being alone in a hotel, and the patron reported the incident to Live Philadelphia staff. No criminal charges were filed. However, both Mr. Petrov and Ms. Zinkova were permanently evicted from the property. The Office of Enforcement Counsel requests that the board place Bogdan Petrov on the involuntary exclusion list.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dermody moves that the board deny OEC's request for the addition of Bogdan Petrov to the Pennsylvania Gaming Control Board's involuntary exclusion list for the conduct described by the Office of Enforcement Counsel.
Commissioner Dillon seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion's adopted.
Now the Office of Enforcement Counsel requests that the board place Maya Zinkova on the board's involuntary exclusion list.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dillon moves that the board deny OEC's request for the addition of Maya Sikova to the PGCB involuntary exclusion list for the conduct described by the Office of Enforcement Counsel.
Commissioner Hickernell, seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion's adopted.
John Crow, once again for the Office of Enforcement Counsel. The next matter on the agenda for the board's consideration is a petition to place Jahar Killebrew on the interactive gaming involuntary exclusion list. Jahar Killebrew created 8 accounts on the Barstool Sportsbook platform using the personal identifying information of other individuals and funded those accounts with credit cards belonging to other individuals, then withdrew funds from those accounts into his own personal banking account. The Office of Enforcement Counsel now requests that the board place Jahar Killebrew on the interactive gaming involuntary exclusion list.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Hickernell moves that the board approve the addition of Jahar Killebrew to the Pennsylvania Gaming Control Board's involuntary interactive gaming exclusion list for the conduct described by the Office of Enforcement Counsel.
Commissioner Ralston seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
The next matter on the agenda for the board's consideration is the petition to place Tucapita Marcano on the involuntary exclusion list and the interactive gaming involuntary exclusion list. Mr. Marcano placed 131 separate wagers on the FanDuel sports wagering platform on Major League Baseball offerings while actively rostered on the Pittsburgh Pirates Major League Baseball team. Board regulations expressly prohibit an athlete from participating in sports wagering on sporting events in the sport or league in which the person is involved. The Office of Enforcement Counsel now requests that the board place Tucapita Marcano on the involuntary exclusion list as well as the interactive gaming involuntary exclusion list.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dillon moves that the board approve the addition of Tucapita Marcano to the PGCB involuntary interactive gaming exclusion list for the conduct described by the Office of Enforcement Counsel.
Commissioner Ralston seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion's adopted.
The next matter on the agenda for the board's consideration is a petition to place Naquan Pearson on the interactive gaming involuntary exclusion list. Naquan Pearson created 4 accounts on the Barstool Sportsbook platform using the personal identifying information of other individuals and funded those accounts with credit cards belonging to other individuals, then withdrew funds from those accounts into his own personal banking account. The Office of Enforcement Counsel now requested the board place Naquan Pearson on the interactive gaming involuntary exclusion list.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Commissioner Ralston moves that the board approve the addition of Naquan Pearson to the PGCB involuntary interactive gaming exclusion list for the conduct described by the Office of Enforcement Counsel.
Commissioner Regan seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion's adopted.
Good morning, Chair Smiler, members of the board. Dustin Miller on behalf of the Office of Enforcement Counsel, MILLER. The next matter on the agenda is the request to place Dong Liao on the involuntary exclusion list. Dong Liao was involved in a cheating scheme that took place at Live Philadelphia Hotel and Casino. He benefited approximately $55,660 to which he was not entitled, and he was criminally charged related to that incident. He has been permanently evicted from Live Philadelphia. Additionally, he was caught downloading free slot play at Rivers Philadelphia Casino from various player accounts. He was cited for theft of services and evicted from Rivers Philadelphia in that incident. At this time, the Office of Enforcement Counsel requests that the board place Dong Liao on the board's involuntary exclusion list.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Regan moves that the board approve the addition of Dong Liao to the PGCB involuntary exclusion list for the conduct described by the Office of Enforcement Counsel.
Commissioner Dermody, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Motion's adopted.
Good morning, Sarah Kolesar, Kolesar, with the Office of Enforcement Counsel. The next matter on the agenda for the board's consideration is a request to place LaTanya Thompson on the board's involuntary exclusion list. Ms. Thompson was present at Live Casino Philadelphia when she took a printed voucher that did not belong to her from a slot machine and left the area. Ms. Thompson then cashed the voucher out at a ticket redemption unit and received $298.48. After being confronted by casino personnel, Ms. Thompson failed to pay restitution. No criminal charges have been filed in this matter, but Ms. Thompson was permanently evicted from the premises. At this time, OEC requests that the board place LaTanya Thompson on the board's involuntary exclusion list.
Any questions or comments? May I have a motion, please?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dermody moves that the board approve the addition of LaTanya Thompson to the Pennsylvania Gaming Control Board's involuntary exclusion list for the conduct described by the Office of Enforcement Counsel.
Commissioner Dillon seconds.
All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion's adopted.
Commissioner Hinkenel, thank you for your service. Thank you for all your support, and we wish you well. And that concludes our business today.
Thank you, Cyrus, on OEC. The last item on the agenda today is public comment. Is there anybody in the room that would like to address the board? Seeing no one, that concludes today's meeting. The next public meeting of the board will be held on Wednesday, April 23rd, 2025 at 10 a.m. at this location. And now may I please have a motion to adjourn?
Madam Chair, Commissioner Dillon moves to adjourn.
Commissioner Hickernell seconds.
All in favor? Aye. All opposed? Motion carries. Meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.